This is the barn from Flee The Facility Homestead in real life. This is the actual inspiration from Mr. Winnie. You can actually see it right here on his Twitter. Now, of course, that is super cool. As you probably can see right here, this is the in-game barn, and it looks the exact same. Now, the fun thing is, this is not the only thing he used as inspiration for the map Homestead inside of Flee The Facility. So that is what we're gonna go over in this video. Right here, you can actually see how similar these things actually are. Basically, what Mr. Winnie did, he just took photos of the barn in real life, and then he made it inside of Roblox. You guys know the brown house, right? In the map Homestead? Well, that's actually a real-life building Mr. Winnie actually has been to. As you guys probably can see, it looks the exact same as in Roblox Flee The Facility. You can probably see there is nearly no difference. There is only like no vents in the real-life version, but of course, in the actual version inside of Roblox Flee The Facility, there are vents. Because in the real-life brown house, of course, the beast isn't chasing you, which is logic sense. And in real life, of course, the windows are barricaded, and of course, that isn't in the actual version inside of Flee The Facility. The thing is, a lot of people didn't even know this actually existed. Like most buildings in the map Homestead inside of Flee The Facility are actually buildings in real life. Here we have the White House inside of the Homestead map inside of Flee The Facility. Now you would actually say it's just a Roblox building, right? It's nothing special about it really. But this right here is actually the real life building of the White House inside of the map Homestead in Flee The Facility. And if we actually zoom in, we can actually see that the White House is actually 2 doors and 2 windows, just like in Flee The Facility. I actually spotted something else. As you probably can see, there is a door in the real life version on the left side, but in Roblox Flee The Facility, the game, there is no door at all. Also in game, there is no chimney, but in real life, as you probably can see, there is a chimney, which is pretty weird. Also, there's one more thing. As you probably can see, in the actual version, you see that there is a window at the left side of the house next to the door, but in Flee The Facility, as you can see, there is no window right there. So the actual real life White House, Mr. Winnie didn't actually make it exactly like that inside of Flee The Facility, but you can definitely see that Mr. Winnie actually really did his best to make the exact same thing inside of Flee The Facility. Even put the most tiny details in the actual game. As you probably can see, do you see the lights on the White House? Those are actually also there in real life. I also really love how both of the doors in real life and inside of Flee The Facility, the game, are both the exact same. Just the most tiny details on the White House are basically the same inside of Roblox from real life. I can only say one thing. The next thing you're going to see is the actual shed inside of Flee The Facility Homestead. And of course, behind the shed, there's a lot of trees, like it is actually in Flee The Facility itself as well. And behind the trees, of course, there is also the actual barn. And I wasn't joking when I actually said this. This is the shed. As you probably can see, the roof is the exact same, and the door is basically a little bit to the right side, but it is basically in the same spot. Of course, in the game, there's actually a tube added in. You can't see that in real life because, of course, it is not a game, which is logic sense, but it really comes down to the exact same. At the side of the shed, there is, of course, no bushes, but in Roblox Flee The Facility, the game, there is actually bushes, but, of course, in real life, there is not everything that there is in the game. It is really cool how everything from the game actually looks so similar to everything in real life, because everything is basically the same, but it really looks the same inside of the game. If you put the real life photo next to the screenshot from Flee The Facility in the game, you can basically see that it is really the same. Also, the walk distance between the shed and between the barn is basically the same from Roblox Flee The Facility, the game, and real life. It's basically just a blocky version and a real life version. I really love how everything is basically so similar. Also, I have found like a really weird sign inside of Flee The Facility Homestead, and it is right here. The sign is basically between the shed and between the White House inside of Flee The Facility Homestead map, and I have literally no idea what this actually could be. The thing is, it has no use inside of the map, but I have no idea what it is used for, so if you know it, make sure you comment it down below under the video. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more so you can see it really good. The only thing that I didn't find though is that little shed thingy. What is it called? I have no idea really what to call it. I will just call it a poop house. but you can probably see it right here. I couldn't find the in real life version, but I think it is just made up. The next picture right here is the brown house inside of Roblox Flee The Facility Homestead, the map of course, and I know something really cool about this house in Homestead that you guys do not know at all. There is a chance that you know this, but a lot of people didn't play the game back in 2018. There used to be an extra block on top of the brown house, and you could actually jump on top of it. And you see the big block on top of the brown house roof, you could actually jump on top of that as well, because there wasn't an invisible wall there before. The tiny block on the brown house actually got removed because the beast couldn't jump on top of the big block, and now on the big block there is also an invisible barrier. You can also see it right here on this screenshot. You can see exactly that there was a tiny block and a ginormous block that is still there. Also, I was looking again at the White House, because next to the White House in the Flee The Facility game, of course, there is a giant maze, and I thought maybe there was an actual maze next to the White House as well, but of course I think that is just made up and it is not in real life at all. There is a giant fence though, and as you probably can see as well, there is two giant trees or bushes. It looks kind of like a bush, and it's not really a maze of course, but I don't know, maybe behind that bush there is something, but I really don't think there is anything right there. I really do have a feeling the garage inside of the Flee The Facility Homestead map is actually there in real life as well, but I have the feeling Mr. Wendy didn't show us a picture of the garage in real life. But there's also a really good chance this is also made up, just like the maze and just like the logs and all the other things that I just told in the video before. Also, there's a really good chance that the poop house is actually real and it is actually there in real life, but I do think Mr. Wendy just didn't show it to us, or it just doesn't exist. It is just probably made up. I just do think it's really cool to realize that there is actually a actual Flee The Facility Homestead in real life somewhere on this planet. Also, it is somewhere really close to mountains, because if you zoom in on this picture, you can probably see really far back there is mountains right over there, and you can probably see this giant bush over here, and that is actually not in Flee The Facility, but why? Now, I actually took another screenshot of the game. Next to the White House there is actually a giant bush, and I really have the feeling that is the bush. The real life bush actually look, in comparison to the one in Roblox Flee The Facility, it looks extremely big, and I don't really think that one is the same as the White House, but it could be an inspiration. It also could have been actually the bush next to the shed, or I think that what Mr. Wendy did is he put the real life bush, the giant bush, and I was thinking I'm gonna make a actual bush in Flee The Facility off of it, and I want to place it next to the shed instead of next to the White House. So I really think the giant bush near the White House is actually the bush that is next to the shed to get up on the shed. There is just a really good chance that Mr. Wendy inspired it off of that. I'm sure if you watched the entire video that you learned something new today about Flee The Facility. Make sure you subscribe and you smash like for more Flee The Facility, and you click right here to watch another Flee The Facility video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye bye.